Hello, I think we are back. Everything is great when you're behind the scenes and you have completed to the talent show. I'm your host today, Jennifer Nelson. This is season 3, episode 10. I can't believe we've moved along so much. And we are ready at episode 10 this year. I'm running a little bit without some notes, so I appreciate you guys passionately understanding the magic and the mystery that is behind live video. We have a very special show today, and we're going to talk about workforce management. I don't know if you have ever heard of this. Prior to diving into this topic, I had never heard of it. So you are not alone if you haven't, and I'm really excited to usher our guest in and have this conversation. But first and foremost, let me see where you guys are at, right? This is the talent show. We're all about showing the talent behind the scenes, but we love our audience and we love to know where you're tuning in from, wherever you are in the world. So drop it in the comments here on LinkedIn. We'd love to know where you're tuning in from. In the meantime, I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the virtual hiring events happening this upcoming week. So starting with the USA, we have next Wednesday, May 25th at both noon and 7 p.m. Eastern time. Myself and Ramses Vega will host virtual information sessions specific to our licensed healthcare insurance agent roles. I know there's going to be a lovely assistant in the comments on LinkedIn dropping the RSVP so you can join us and learn how to become a licensed healthcare insurance agent with TTEC, starting from scratch and taking your licensure all the way throughout open enrollment season here in the United States. The next event is next Thursday, May 26th, and it's happening on TTEC Canada in Facebook. So this will be about multiple hiring opportunities, especially if you're bilingual or trilingual, English, French, and Portuguese. There's some amazing opportunities for you there, and you'll get to meet Eric on our talent acquisition marketing team. I know there'll be a comment and a link dropped in the chats. Let me go over, and while we're talking about that and thinking about that, let's see where some people are tuning in from. Kashmir. I know where Kashmir is. It's a beautiful country. Chef Crystal is asking, what will the pay be in Duluth, Georgia? I need a little bit more information on what you're talking about, the specific information. If it's the licensed healthcare, everybody starts out at $16 an hour and while they're in training, and then goes up to $24 an hour if you are Spanish, English, bilingual. I hope that helps. Somebody from Ireland and Wisconsin. Amazing. Thank you so much for being here. And of course, Rebecca is here from, oh yeah, she's in Colorado right now. I usually see her in Arizona, but she's in Colorado. So as I teased about the topic for today, we have an exciting and interesting topic that we may not know about, you may not think about in the workplace, but we have an extra special guest that's going to shed some light on it. So luckily this week, our guest, as I alluded to, Marshall Lee, is the Director for Global Workforce Management here at TTEC. He knows all about this topic, probably more than we'll ever learn in our lifetimes. So let me tell you a little bit about him, and then we'll get on with the show. As a director for Global Workforce Management, Marshall is responsible for flawless delivery in partnership with operations. His scope accounts for about 4,000 agents in the back office and live contact channel traffic. Before joining TTEC in 2018, Marshall was well-versed in contact center field with 20 years of experience. His expertise includes workforce management, training, quality assurance, and customer experience, everything you need with an amazing company like TTEC who's focused on the customer experience. So without any further ado, I'm going to welcome Marshall onto the show, and then I'm going to have another question for you guys to drop in the chat. Welcome, Marshall.
Thank you, Jen. Good to be here.
Yeah, don't you love the magic of live where we just drop off for 3 minutes and then pop back in?
You know, oddly, later on I'll tell you about how that ties into workforce management. That's something we do.
Is there anything that doesn't tie into workforce management?
Not really.
So for the very little time that I have had with you, I feel like you have the workforce management has a solution for that in everything.
There's an app for that.
There's an app. Very nice. So for those in the audience today, I've been throwing this word around, workforce management. We'll also talk a little bit about workforce optimization. What do you guys think that means? Like, just hearing the words and a little bit about what we've talked about and knowing what you do about TTEC or about business, what do you think workforce optimization or workforce management means? I'd love to hear your feedback because, like I said, I didn't know very much about it. And I'd love to hear what you guys will say about it. In the meantime,
go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. Oh, in the meantime, Marshall, I just wanted to get to know you a little bit better. I kind of talked to, the very basic information about you, but I know that there's much more to you.
So a little bit about me. Workforce management kind of is my job and hobby. There are other things I do get into. I'm a little bit of a Star Wars geek, anime geek, cook and do all the other things. But workforce management is a career path that I fell into. And getting into TTEC was an interesting path as well. I used to work for another organization that had then TTEC, now TTEC, as a client. And I liked it so much, I came in over and joined a little later on in my career. It's a great organization. And basically, my path started off as a contact center agent years ago. Found this thing that used staffing and scheduling and all these other things and lots of problem solving. And then over the years, just worked my way through being in real time and scheduling and an analyst. And here I am today. And through that, managed to find some time to get involved in some industry groups, SWPP and ICMI as well, just to learn more and stay focused.
Perfect. I'm glad you kind of alluded to your journey, and I always love to hear how people get in with TTEC, because we're, as I say in a lot of our pitches, we're probably the biggest organization you've never heard of before. So I had a friend of mine who used to be the host of this show, and this is where she worked, and I saw her through LinkedIn, and she got me connected to it. So it's always a circuitous or interesting path that people get to TTEC. So thank you for sharing that. Annette actually had a guess on what workforce management is before we dive into it. Empowers teams with analytics-driven insights. Is that true? Is that what workforce management is?
To a degree, yes. Workforce management is what I like to tell people, sort of the traffic circle of a lot of things. What our core piece is to make sure that if someone were to reach out to an organization for a customer experience, we're all about customer experience. We're about bringing that human interaction to customer experience, whether it's through our digital channels or whether it's through our Engage, where we have associates who come in and take calls, work interactions, do back office, do the various things. Workforce management is really there to make sure that you have the right person at the right place at the right time with the right skill. To do that, we have to see how much work there's going to be, and then see how many people there are, understand what they do, what they need to know how to do, and then really make sure that they have a good experience doing it. Workforce management is something that can make or break the culture of a contact center. It's something that can achieve employee engagement. It's something that can work through kind of the day-to-day efforts. So really what we do is we make sure that there are the right employees engaged at the right time, using those analytics, using that historical information, using what associates can do to make sure that we have enough people to do the work at the right times, but also make sure that those associates aren't overworked, make sure there's enough room for time off, make sure there's enough room for breaks, and kind of give that balance so that you have what you need for that work-life piece.
You couldn't have said it more succinctly or led into the next question even more, because you started to talk about what it means, not only from the business perspective, as in making sure billets are handled and that there are people in the right place at the right time, but on the employee side, like you quote in LinkedIn, if with workforce management or workforce optimization, if it's done right, enhances not only the customer experience, but also employee engagement. How does that work? And as we've kind of alluded to, how does this also extend into career pathing for employees?
Absolutely. So one of the core values at TTEC that I really like is live life passionately. And that's something that you have to take into account when you're doing WFM. We, at the end of the day, produce staffing and scheduling. And when you think about a schedule is really how you approach work, whether it's taking calls, whether it's working claims, whether it's doing emails, whether it's taking chats, whether it's engaging in anything. That schedule determines a lot of someone's life. It determines their training. It determines their coaching. You're talking about their time off, leave of absence, breaks, lunches, start times, end times. Work is such a big part of what we do, but it's not all of what we do. And how you apply workforce management, staffing, and scheduling methodology can make or break the employee experience from a time management and work-life balance perspective. So in order to let people live life passionately and work life passionately, you have to be cognizant and aware of how busy people are, how much you're staffing them up. And so in workforce management, there's this thing called occupancy, which is how busy a team is, basically. And if that goes too high, people begin to burn out. They begin to call in. You begin to have higher attrition. People leave their jobs. If it goes way too low, you're extremely inefficient and things are just not where they need to be. So it's kind of finding that sweet spot, that balance. We're playing a kind of a Tetris game. But in that, one of the key factors is you want to make sure that you understand that you're not talking about numbers, data sets, or color bars. You're talking about people. At the end of the day, the ones who interact with customers, or the ones who are doing work, or the ones who are doing back office tasks, or the ones who are working in that engagement, those are humans. And humans, they have to take breaks. Humans have to go on vacation. They have lives to live. And workforce management, when it's done well, brings that balance in by looking at not only what needs to be done, but how we do it, and how do we do it in such a way that we allow people to have those things.
Yeah, and I have to imagine that it sets the next tier, the expectation. Like, we have this many associates and we're growing with these clients and these contracts. So it's helping to establish that career growth, the next management or the next manager, the next senior person up the chain as well.
Absolutely. When we're looking at it, and there's both a career path in workforce management and there's a career path within the organization. We have to understand the skill set and the training of the associates and kind of help guide that career pathing to a point. But also within our organization, let's say you come in as a real-time analyst and you learn what it's like to see who's here, monitor absences, track things, do some basic reporting and analytics. You kind of begin to build that next level of skill. You might go from being a specialist to an analyst who's working on schedules, who's working on understanding how absence impacts. Then you can have team leads for both sets. Then you can go into management. Then you can go into reporting. Then ultimately you have forecasting, which is this whole thing.
If I'm still live, let me know. I think Marshall has hit a little bit of. Oh,
Oh,
there we go. He's
yeah.
back. Welcome.
then you get into forecasting, where you have kind of a predictive modeling, and you look at all of the things that can go there. And each one of these stages, you have career progression that you can do within workforce management, but also we're looking at these things to help the organization say, where can we help make the most sense from a number of support staff, number of leadership to associates, to kind of help drive that engagement as well.
Yeah, I love how not only did you talk about how important this is for business development and having the right people to satisfy the mission, satisfy our clients, but then taking a step back and realizing that, well, it can be very analytical, it can be very numbers, it can be very charts, but to remember that there are humans behind this, that there needs to be plans for work and there needs to be plans for fun. You told me in the pre-show, and it's very encouraging to hear that.
Absolutely. When we build into our models, we actually, one of the things we look at is how much time do we need to allow so people can use that vacation time, so they can use that holiday time, so they can use that sick time if they need to, so that we have enough people to cover that. Because, you know, when you build a benefits package, you're actually building in this time for people to be away from work to live a life. So part of our job is to figure out, how do we make that work? How do we staff the right way? How do we have enough people to meet those expectations and requirements based on what's out there?
Absolutely. So I want to thank you so much for sharing more about workforce management, more about yourself, and giving us a peek into what it takes to grow and think about the needs of a 60,000 plus organization. I also really appreciate, now I have another thing to think about when we talk about culture. We have professionals behind the scenes thinking about how to really balance work and life and enhance our culture. So thank you, Marshall, so much for joining us on the Talent Show today.
Thank you.
So with that, maybe now you're inspired, you're ready to join TTEC because you know there's somebody or a whole team of people behind the scenes making sure your life is balanced, and we have a rich culture for that. Let me show you some of our hot jobs. And we're going to come over and share. I'm sharing my screen. We're starting over in EMEA, or in specifically the UK. And one of the things on ttecjobs.com that I have not used to this point is this little feature where you can scroll over the areas and see multiple jobs that are in different parts of the UK. It says 5 opportunities. There was a remote job there. But today we're actually going to talk about this automotive brand ambassador live tour product host. That sounds so much fun. So you could click on that, the title. You could find it by searching in the UK or using those drops. But this is what it looks like behind the scenes. And it's really exciting. This is for somebody who's looking for an opportunity where they'll support a team and their leadership to deliver amazing customer service experiences, while also working directly with the customer. It's a hybrid role. You'll support leadership with the reporting, client meetings, as well as motivating and coaching those team members. So those people that are providing the direct customer service. And you probably get your hands dirty a little bit too. But what's really exciting, and where I was like, do they need somebody from the United States, is that you'll also have an opportunity to host virtual events and interact with customers as a product marketer. How fun would that be to work in the automotive industry in Europe, talking about cars? That sounds like a fun role to me. So that's available now on ttecjobs.com over in the UK. Sorry for anybody in the US, only for those in the UK. The second hot job we're going to talk about, again, starts back at ttecjobs.com, where you always go if you're looking for any of our opportunities. This is my go-to search every time. You hit remote and you hit United States, and you hit the search, and this is when you'll have the opportunity to find anywhere between 70 and I would say 120 roles at any given time. My Edge was giving me a problem, so it may or may not run. But in the meantime, the specific role I want to highlight, and I've highlighted this on LinkedIn, is our marketing copywriter role. This is a great remote opportunity for anybody in the United States, from anywhere in the United States. Specific to business marketing copywriter. They'll work as part of the marketing department to generate content and tell great stories for a range of communication platforms to support content, creative endeavors, and our sales team. So if you're thinking about it, you're really developing, curating, repurposing content for email, landing pages, white papers, infographics. It's everything a marketing person would do, and making sure that the brand message is succinct and well portrayed. That's what a copywriter does. So those are the 2 hot jobs that I have showcased for you. And now that you've all learned a little bit more about workforce management, thanks to Marshall, and you're inspired to apply to one of these hot jobs or the many others that we have at ttecjobs.com, that's the show for today, and I really appreciate your time. I hope you enjoyed the talent show powered by TTEC, because after all, TTEC is powered by our talent. I want to take a moment to thank our guest, Marshall Lee, again. appreciate you educating us and telling us all the power behind workforce management. I'd be amiss if I don't thank the team, the production team behind the scenes. Thank you, Gabby. Thank you, Nora, everybody behind there that makes this show possible. And then you guys for your patience and sticking with me. I apologize for the little bit of the hiccup we had early, but we love to have you out and hope you come back for the next show on June 2nd in 2 weeks. Have a great day.